Quite a few. Well, okay. Let me, for you all, not to hold you up, just let me go through what I was going to say and concentrate on the problem set. I am recording this, so I'll just put it online for people. But want to remind you that when you come online for the Zoom lectures, I really appreciate it, is go ahead and submit the problem itself. Most of you, if not all of you, are doing that, but just don't put attended the Zoom lecture, because I want to make sure that you're understanding the material, especially this this unit is there's quite a bit of calculation, not very difficult, but calculation. So having said that, let me go through problem set 5, which is actually chapter 6. So it says George has been selling 5,000 t-shirts per month for $8.50. He increased the price to $9.50. He sold only 4,000 t-shirts. So it asks, what is the demand elasticity? If the marginal cost is $4 a shirt, what is his desired markup? What is his initial actual markup? Was raising the price profitable? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. So you have to answer 5 questions there. You want to use the elasticity formula, which is the change to quantity demanded over the change in price. And what you end up is a -2, and there's a markup formula as -1 over E, which would be -1 over -2, which is 0.5 or a half. So his initial markup should be 53 cents. Should be 53 cents. So his actual margin was greater than the desired margin, raising his price, and thus the margin would decrease profits. In other words, he made more profit at the old price than he did the new price. And that's an application of elasticity. Elasticity is how much are your purchases or your customers' purchases going to change if you raise price or lower price. Of course, that's an application of the law of demand, which says usually if a business raises price, purchases will go down. And from our standpoint as a consumer, prices go down, we're going to buy more. And to give you an example again, I've harp on gas prices, but in Jefferson County, they're the highest, higher than most places. So I make it a point to buy my gas outside of the county, because it can be. Yesterday I was in somewhere, or the day before in Columbus, Indiana, 20 cents cheaper. So I made sure I filled up in Columbus and not wait to Jefferson County. So that's the law of demand. Price difference will buy more. So not particularly, I didn't buy any more gas, filled up the tank, but I made sure that I filled it up before I got to Jefferson County. So the elasticity demand is a measurement of that. There's basically 2 types of elasticity. Inelastic is a good that purchases really don't go down very much if price increases. Typically that's gasoline. But when you have a very large difference between price per gallon and location, law of demand will set in. So quite a few calculations there. So let me go over that again. The elasticity is 2, -2. Desired markup is 50 cents. His initial markup was 53 cents. So he made more money at the first price. He made more money at the first price. Difference between 53 cents and 50 cents. Problem number 6. Any questions about that? A somewhat, I would say difficult, I should never say difficult problem, but it is if you're not used to it. You just got to follow the formula there. And I did put up the PowerPoints, I believe, with the formulas there. Mary Lou, welcome. Is the Moodle working? I know more and more people are coming on.
I just got on.
I did
too. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. This is being recorded anyway. Again, I really appreciate you all taking time out during your Easter weekend. Any questions, though, about that problem? And even though you're tuned in, make sure that you turn in the answers to the problem and answer all of them. Okay, learning curves. Suppose production technology characterized by a learning curve. I think most of us are familiar with a learning curve is. Very common in business literature. Every time you increase production by 1 unit, your costs decrease, okay, by $6. The first unit costs you $64 to produce. If you receive a request for a proposal on a project for 4 units, what is your break-even price? So there's one question. Suppose that you get the contract, you estimate that you win another project for 2 more units. Okay, now what is your break-even price for those 2 units? It says use the table below. Okay, so you look at the table and you need to answer 2 questions. The first answer is a break-even point for price for 4 units is $55. So you look down the left-hand column, you find a quantity of 4, okay, and you always want to have marginal revenue, which is the price, equal to average cost. Average cost. Okay. So the break-even price there is $55. That's how to find that. Okay. The extra cost of the 5th one and 6th one is only $74. Okay. So it's between 4, 5, and you're raising price between $4 and $6. So it's basically $37 a unit. As you see there, the extra cost of the 5th and 6th units is only $74. And how to find that is the difference between $4 and $5. Let's say the $6 cost you a total cost of $294. The total cost of 4 is $220, which is a difference of $74. That's how to find that. So let me go over that again. You read your table. The first answer is $55. You find that by finding the average per cost for making 4 units, which is, how to find that is divide 220 by 4, and that's $55. And you want to find the difference, the cost of the extra 2 units. You just, you don't even have to worry about 5. You just go up to 6 and subtract 294 from 220, and you'll get $74. So again, even though you're on the online here, put in the figures. So I know that you know how to do that, because these questions will come up again this week and then next week and then for the final exam. Okay. And if you're stumbling about where these answers came from, is they're an application of the terms. Application of the terms. And if you're finding some difficulty with it, try to go back to the PowerPoint and the book to sort of get used to the terms. It's not your math skills, it's understanding the terms. Especially, it's easy to confuse total cost with average cost and marginal cost. What is confusing to a lot of people is marginal cost. Marginal cost really isn't used that much in real business. Questions about these three problems? Okay. Now, the last one, problem set 7, the widget market. The widget market is competitive. And I'm going to ask you guys, what does that mean when a market's competitive? What's the definition? Anybody? Well, let me give you the example of the gasoline market here in Jefferson County. Why is price of gasoline per gallon sometimes 20 cents more than anywhere else? Bullitt County, Fayette County, Woodford County, Scott County, even Dade County, Florida. Why is that? It has a lot to do with the structure of the market. What do you think? Well, let's say if you own the only pizza shop in, I'm trying to think of a small place in Kentucky. Gravel Switch, Kentucky. Anybody ever heard of Gravel Switch?
No.
No? One person is shaking their head. Okay, you own the only pizza shop in Gravel Switch, Kentucky, and it's actually a pretty good place. So you could literally charge whatever you wanted to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a gasoline company that has roughly 85% of all the retail supply in Jefferson County. So economists would describe the market for retail gasoline in Kentucky, in Jefferson County. So they literally can charge whatever they want, and they do. So the opposite of that is a competitive market where there are a lot of sellers, a lot of suppliers, and that's the competitive market. And that's what that means. So when a business is selling its product in a competitive market, there's incentive for the business to charge what it charges at the very lowest cost, because its competitors are going to charge less, right? That's what it means. So no transaction cost. Is there a question? Somebody have a question?
No.
Okay. So using the table below, 5 suppliers are willing to sell one widget at the following price, as you say the breakdown. 5 buyers are willing to buy one widget at the following prices. Here is this table is a good example of demand and supply. Demand and supply is the economists, how we describe a marketplace where buyers and sellers come together. Demand is is us, the consumer, suppliers, or businesses. It asks you, what is equilibrium? And equilibrium is what we see in a market is the price that brings together demand, which are buyers and sellers, businesses, supply and demand, at a certain price. The same supply will be purchased. So let's look down the column of price, and it's obvious that at $20, the people are willing to buy 3 widgets, and sellers will sell 3 widgets. So that's equilibrium price, and the equilibrium quantity is 3. And how you prove that is, let's take a look at, if price is 16, we certainly, consumers or the buyers of these widgets will want 3. But the price isn't high enough for the businesses to supply, so they're only supplied 2. So there is an equilibrium there. Let's say price is 24. Well, the consumers only want to buy 2. But the suppliers, of course, want to sell 3. So those are disequilibrium. So equilibrium, again, is where demand and supply are the same. That's how we characterize markets, what's happening. A market settles price, and then quantity of purchases and supply are determined. Price comes first, and then quantity supplied and demand are the same. So let me see what time it is. That's how you do it. So not a whole lot of calculation there. It's just interpretation of the table. And then the learning curve is the table as well. It's just how to read it based upon the terms. The more difficult question, of course, is the elasticity. The elasticity. An application of what we call the total revenue test, which is very important and used all the time in determining basically what goods are taxed. The goods that are taxed usually are the ones that have inelastic price demand. Gasoline, unfortunately, cigarettes. There are alcohol, a few others. So, any other questions? Any questions?
Yes, on the first question, I came in late. Could you go over that again?
Yeah, sure. Question problem set 5 is about elasticity. And it asks, what is the demand elasticity? How to do that is you apply the formula of the difference between what the purchases are or would be, called quantity demanded. So you subtract the second one from the first one and divide it by the 2 quantities added together. Okay, and then you divide by the 2 prices together, and then you subtract the 2 prices and then divide the 2 prices by adding the 2 prices. And to give you the numbers, I wish I could, put this up. I probably should hold it up to the screen. Is 5,000 minus 4,000 divided by 5,000 plus 4,000, which is 9,000, of course. And that figure, which should be 1 over 9, and the way this formula is, 1 over 9 times 18 minus, 1 over 9 times 18 divided by 1. And that comes out to -2. The answer is -2. The elasticity of demand, price demand there is -2. So manipulate the formula to come out to -2. And the formula for desired markup is -1 divided by the elasticity. So it's -1 divided by -2, which is 0.5, 50 cents. Initial markup is, and how you find that, is price minus marginal cost divided by price, which is $8.50 minus $4 divided by $8.50 comes out to 53 cents. So the answer there is because at the initial markup, his initial markup is greater than when he changed price. So it's the application of the price elasticity formula, sticking in the right numbers, and the markup formula using elasticity, and another markup formula that uses price minus marginal cost. So 3 formulas there, 3 formulas. At the end of the day, the original price provides George with a higher profit. So you got to make sure. So the answer is again, -2, 50 cents, and 53 cents. So make sure that you come up with those answers. That means that I can tell that you know the formulas. Okay. Have any of you all attempted the problem so far? And I must say that according to something about the grading is you all, I don't know if you know or not, there's 41 students in the class, and I have how I grade the problems is I try to get to at least half of them by Wednesday. I didn't get most of them done until yesterday. So I try to get them graded as much as I can, but there's a lot of them, and I'd like to spend a lot of time, grading them. So I apologize for somewhat late, but I try not to be that late. And let me say that if, especially with these problems and next week's problems, if you find yourself, well, you really want to wait to the Zoom lecture, that's fine. And if you can't, Sunday is Easter, so the submittals of these things really is not set up to shut you off by Sunday afternoon or Sunday night. So feel free to submit these things Monday, okay, to give you some more time. So I want, the way I structure these courses is for you to learn the material and not so much, put pressure on you to learn something in just a week. So any questions about that?
When we are answering our problems, we need to go ahead and show our work. I know these Zoom sessions help us understand a little bit more, but when we need to show you that we understand the use of the formulas. Is that correct? So
yes, perfect. Good question, Sarah. Yes, yeah, because I need to make sure that everyone understands the material.
Okay.
So Dr. Bewley, this is Trish Jones.
Yeah.
Because I just got a grade back from you, and it was not what I expected, I guess, because I wasn't aware that you wanted us to show the work after we attended the Zoom.
Right.
I can certainly do that, but so you're counting off if we don't?
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's see, I think I gave, the bottom line is I'm going to regrade the second problem set. The first problem set wasn't any big deal. I think you're referring, Trish, to the second one of last week.
Yes.
I'm going to regrade those and give you an opportunity to put in the figures.
Okay, so we can just edit the submission so that you can see
Yes.
that we know how to come up with that?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So if any of you got a grade you didn't expect because you didn't put, the figures, you would have said, I forget what it was. Oh, you switched production to the higher tech thing Just put the figures there. And what I'm looking for is, I believe the difference was the low tech, its average cost was $12 and the high tech was 10.
Right.
So I need to see that you understand that.
Gotta find that. Right.
Yeah, because so there's no particular, difficulty in figuring those things, but I need to see that, especially as we go along. I try to organize this to point you in the right direction. There's nothing wrong with giving you the answers. Is can you arrive at those answers?
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks. And don't
Also,
ever hesitate.
I'm sure you know, Dr. Bewley, but the announcement came out an hour ago that Moodle's down, and they have not announced that it's back up. So that's probably why there's not very many people on here this morning.
Yeah, we have a pretty good turnout, actually.
Oh, okay.
But I'm glad, yeah. And I was going to say, always feel free to challenge a grade.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Very good.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
When we resubmit, do we just shoot you an email, or do you automatically get a notification if we need to resubmit last week's?
It's always safe to send me an email. Sometimes
Okay.
Moodle will not accept the second submittal. So it's best to send me an email.
Okay.
Good question, Justin. Everybody get that? Yeah, that way I don't have to, we can get it done fast. Okay, well, thanks a lot. Again, happy Easter, and I really appreciate your all's attendance. You all are doing well and doing well in the quizzes. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.